if you were forced to give up an item, let's just say OV scores his, what's the record for goals? 871. Say, I think it is, Wayne's. Say he scores 872 and against the opposition. And let's say Shesterkin, let's say it's in New York, and he fires the puck into the crowd, the goalie for the Rangers, and you catch it. And then the Capitals come over to you and tap on the glass. Can we get that puck? It's Ovi's. It's the record-breaking goal. A, you don't want to give it to him, but B, you know you should. What would be an appropriate...
But C, that's $1 million puck in your hand.
They say the football's $500,000.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
So the puck would be... This didn't break a record. The puck would be right there.
No, what would you want?
$500,000.
You scumbag!
That'd be the coolest thing to have the record-breaking puck. But you know what?
Oh, it's $894. Sorry. So if it's $895, you catch the puck for $895. Because what Tom said was, we'll get him a helmet, maybe a couple jerseys or something. I'm not quite like you.
Yeah.
Not a complete pimp like you. I would say, I want the helmet. I want the jerseys. I want season tickets. I want lunch with you at the Golden Corral tomorrow, Tom. And let me think about it a little longer, and then I'll get back to you.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes. That's a fact. Thank you, Rick Regan, and thank you for tuning in, everybody. You're part of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, airing from Florida here on the Game Plus television network and streaming live, podcasting as well. Moose is in the Toronto studio. I'm going to tell you, folks, a couple things. They're doing construction around me again, Moose, so if you hear a jackhammer going off, I don't know what the hell is going on. It's very loud, but you're not going to be able to hear it. It's just going to bother me. And I'll say this. The guest today is Cody John from the Saskatchewan Rattlers, Canadian Elite Basketball League team. And we're big fans of the CEBL. They're in the news over the last 24 hours. And, yeah, I'm excited to have him coming up in hour two. It's a very heavy time in the world, so I'm going to ask our people to check their brains at the door and just have fun for the next 2 hours. I think we've been successful in doing that over 1,447 episodes. And I'll tell you what, you don't have to, but I can guarantee you Moose and I are going to check our brains at the door. So you might as well join us. So what do you have, Moose? What do you have for me before we get down to business with the most serious topics?
Yeah, a couple things. One, the new haircut's looking good. We saw you. You said you were going for the haircut, so looking clean. And you were bang on your movie review for Last Breath. We went last night, wrote about it this morning. So good, edge of your seat. And Leanne says to me, she's like, "You didn't really sell me on this." I'm like, "I didn't think I had to." Ooh. She's like, "True story. It was a thriller, really good show. The cast was outstanding. Simu Liu and Woody Harrelson, awesome. 2 thumbs up."
Ladies and gentlemen, go to Last Breath at Landmark Cinemas. If you're looking for something to do, if you're looking for an entertainment option, there you go. Landmark Cinemas has been a partner of ours for a very long time. And listen, do you guys want to hit the Quick Six show horn? You want to hit the Quick Six show horn? We'll fire it up. We'll get going. We're going to get into our Quick Six show topics here. They include the NHL from last night. Our poll is NHL related. Saquon Barkley is going to be the highest paid running back in NFL history. Stephen Cohn, the owner of the Mets, is in the news. Just Was with him a couple of weeks ago. Hard to believe, Moose. I was from me to you away from him and didn't even know. Yeah. Yeah, my mind's... Oh, yeah. We talk about ego a lot, and I've been at this perilous trade a long time. I think this is my 37th year. Dude, how old are you? You were born in 87, right? I began this perilous career in 1988, the year Sergei Bobrovsky was born. It's all I really know to do. And when I left the job as voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you came to me with the opportunity to host a show. And I'm like, yeah, what the hell? And I think about how on that time, we were just on Facebook. Where's the show going to air, Darren? I barely knew you. You were like, Facebook. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. What the hell? We were like the first ones to ever do it, and we get credit for that. And then it went to national television here on Game Plus, went on the radio in Atlanta for 5 seasons. That's pretty damn cool stuff. So I guess my point is, don't be afraid to try new things. And above all, have fun. And as I told my business manager, Joe, there's nothing makes me happier than covering hockey, reporting on hockey, just being around hockey. And if I can make a job out of it, Bob's your uncle. So the big story in our circles is the NHL, and we're going to get to trade deadline stuff in a second, but on the ice last night, Mason McTavish scored twice in the first period. Jackson Lacombe and Cutter Gauthier each had 3 assists, and the Anaheim Ducks stunned the Edmonton Oilers 6-2. Brock Nelson had a goal and a helper, and the Islanders stunned the visiting Winnipeg Jets 3-2. Josh Morrissey and Nikolai Ehlers scored for the league-leading Jets, who have dropped 3 in a row. Connor Zary scored 2 of his team's 4 first-period goals. Jonathan Huberdeau had 3 helpers, and the visiting Calgary Flames beat the Philadelphia Flyers 6-3, and that moved the Flames 2 points ahead of the idle Vancouver Canucks for the second wildcard playoff spot in the Western Conference. So while we get into all of what happened last night, and Flames fans are excited, Jets fans are upset, Oilers fans are saying, what the hell happened? I was listening to Elliot Friedman this morning on NHL radio, and they were talking about Columbus and the job done there by Dean Evison. And Elliot said his vote will be for Dean Evison as coach of the year. I'm not sure Elliot gets a vote, but you get the point. And I'm like, yeah. That's, by the way, our second point is that's the poll question. Spoiler alert, who's the coach of the year? But I guess my point is he didn't get to the fact that Columbus got bombed last night in Tampa Bay. I think the final was 6-2 or something. Columbus got bombed in Tampa Bay last night. Darren and I both picked that right. So my point is the pundits and the people that actually know don't get all worked up over one game. He still thinks Dean Evison should be coach of the year despite the fact that they got their ass handed to them in Tampa last night. Do you see the moral to the story there, Darren?
Yeah. I mean, go through the list of every single team in the National Hockey League and show me that there's not a dud on their schedule somewhere, an off night or 2 or 3 or a half dozen where you're asleep at the wheel. And look at Edmonton last night. We still think Edmonton is a Stanley Cup contender. And I think the odds makers aren't panicking over one game or even the stretch coming out of the Four Nations. I believe Edmonton is still the favorite to win the Stanley Cup. And if you base everything just on one game, one instance, one outcome, you're going to make a lot of mistakes because Edmonton is not a team that is that much worse than the Anaheim Ducks. They're just not. And same thing with Columbus. Still a really good hockey team. They've done a great job in, unbelievable circumstances. Yeah, it'll be an interesting conversation for Coach of the Year.
So here's my gong very handily right at my foot. John Ohm writes in, he says, the Winnipeg Jets in a mini slump. Come on, boys. I just wanted to clarify because we had the back and forth there, and he said I said, you're the biggest panicker I know, John. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm always behind the Jets. I'm like, yes, until they lose a couple in a row, and then you're panicking, which was what my point was. That's a fan. It's all good. The world would not go around without those types of people. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Now, we have breaking news here. Thank you, Clark, for putting this in the chat. Breaking news, the Florida Panthers have acquired goaltender Vitek Vanacek from the San Jose Sharks for youngster Patrick Gile. No salary retained. All $3.4 million of Vanacek's deal moves to Florida. He'd been here before, So the Panthers know him, and I think it's just kind of funny. They moved out Spencer Knight earlier this week, actually on the weekend in the Seth Jones trade, and everybody panicking about who the backup's going to be. And it's like it doesn't matter because Bob plays every game anyways, and he will in the playoffs. So it doesn't really matter. They could have had me in net, and they'd have been fine. And I thought it was funny because the Panthers apologists, not going to name them, but those that apologize for the Panthers are saying, we got Roberto Luongo in the front office. We're good. We know what we're doing. Did I ever seem worried? I didn't see a backup standing around. And they went and got Vitek Vanacek. How about that?
How about that?
BW writes in and says, weird watching RP at noon. Clark has informed us there's a time change coming up. That won't change for anybody but the Sask and Arizona people. There's a time change coming up next week, just so for everybody knows. I need to move on because I'm getting hung up. So that's last night's results. And a Panthers trade, they now have a backup. Everything worked out nice again. To point two, we fiddled around in our morning meeting, couldn't really come up with a great poll question. I'm like, I had one. And here it is. I forgot it, but I found it. Always shows up in the nick of time. Coach of the year. Who's it going to be in the National Hockey League? I came up with these three candidates, and Darren, you may not agree. I would be interested to hear everybody's take. I already said Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet thinks it should be Dean Evison in Columbus and everything that they've overcome, and that is not, he wouldn't be a bad choice. Ryan Huska of the Calgary Flames, he's my guy. Yes, I picked the Flames to be in last place. Was no vilification of what on him. They're year one of a rebuild. He's got him in a playoff spot for the love of Pete. So I'm voting for Ryan Huska. And then there's the one who will probably win it in Spencer Carberry. And it's unfortunate because the Washington Capitals head coach, everybody's saying, yeah, but he's got the best team. Nobody saw this coming. Stop it. I'm still voting for Huska. Who are you voting for?
Originally I would have thought Scott Arniel in Winnipeg as my choice. And it kind of depends largely on how they finish this season. There are a lot of good candidates. You mentioned them. How about Todd McLellan in Detroit? Can you have a coach who's come in halfway through the year, win coach of the year? I don't know if that's ever happened. I probably am not putting him on the ballot just simply because he hasn't coached the whole year, but he's done a great job. I'm going to vote for Dean Evison. The situation in Columbus is wild, and he's got this team rolling. They're almost, potentially going to be a playoff team here, come the spring. I think Dean Evison, for me, is the coach of the year today.
Okay, well, I see you mentioned Todd McLellan, the Todd father in Detroit. Well, remember last year, Patrick Waugh came in and turned around the Islanders to the degree that it looked like they were going to get into the playoffs. And I said, he's my guy, but I'm a Roy fan. He should be coach of the year. No. I don't even remember who the hell it was. And this gets into this discussion of what does it mean? I think we looked it up last year at this time. It's like, who did the best job of coaching in the National Hockey League will win the Coach of the Year award, the Jack Adams. I'm like, well, they all do great jobs. They're all great coaches. That's how they got the job in the first place. So based on who did the best job, does that change your narrative? Does that change?
Yeah, to me, it's like who exceeded expectations the most. And that's why, Ryan Huska absolutely checks that box. Dean Evison checks that box. And I think, Spencer Carberry definitely checks that box in Washington. I don't think anybody thought this would be what we expected out of the Capitals. And to that effect, Scott Arniel, too. I don't know that we expected Winnipeg to be this good, the best team in the National Hockey League. We're right up there. So, yeah, all good candidates. I think at the very least, we've narrowed down the final 3 or 4.
By the way, yeah, my phone's going off like crazy. That's on me. I got this new MacBook. You know that. I told you that. I broke down and bought it. I hate spending money, as my friend Mydale Mike says to me. That's the farmer in you. And I'm like, that'll never change. I can't stand spending money. But it's got my damn phone linked up to my MacBook, so whenever I get a text, it blurts across my screen. And I'm such a squirrel, it drives me nuts. So if I'm a little distracted, which you've probably seen a couple of times It's happened here. But Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in and says, happy Ash Wednesday, Reverend Rod. The Raptors players beat the Orlando Magic for the second time this week. Despite the obvious coach and management trying to tank, the players aren't willing to tank. Yeah, we're not going to get into that discussion here on today. But yeah, it was like 114, 113, or 113, 112 last night. The Raptors won in Orlando. The players will never tank. John writes in, he says, why isn't Scott Arniel on the poll? Rod, come on, boys.
Oh, no.
Because he isn't.
Spicy.
Because he isn't. Because he isn't. I'm going to tell you a little story. I don't know, and then we'll get to football after the break. There's a coach, I don't mind saying it, what the hell, daytime TV, this ain't to swear, but Ron Estee, remember him, the D-line coach for the Rough Riders for years, the Swamp Dog? Funny story about Ron Estee, we could barely understand what he was saying. He was like that coach in The Waterboy. He spoke that Cajun, we never understood what he was saying. I came around the corner of the locker room one day, and he had his legs spread wide, and he had his underarm basically painting his nuts with an underarm deodorant. And that area underneath. And I'm like, Swamp, what are you doing? And he goes, it's for your berries. Swipe your berries with some underarm. They won't give you no problem. Oh, okay. Been doing that forever. I got that from the Swamp Dog. But Luke Mullender, my longtime buddy, 9-year CFLer, he's currently the Rough Riders radio analyst, tells a story where he was informed the day before a game that he wasn't going to play. Not only was he not starting, but he wasn't even dressing for a game. So he walked up to Estee, the D-line coach, and says, Coach, why am I not playing? Why am I not on the roster for this game? And the coach put his arm around Luke and said, because, Luke, that's what we decided. Luke was like, what do you say to that? What do you say to that? It's what we decided. So, John, Scott Arniel is not on the poll because that's what we decided. Speaking of football, moving on to point 3, Saquon Barkley will become the highest paid running back in NFL. That underarm on your berries thing really works. I encourage you to try it. Anybody listening right now, you're welcome. And you can thank the Swamp. Point 3, Saquon Barkley will become the highest paid running back in NFL history after his record-setting season helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl. The Eagles are giving Barkley a 2-year extension worth $41.2 million, with $36 million of that guaranteed. Barkley's new deal includes $15 million in incentives. He ran for 2,504 yards in the regular season and playoffs, breaking Terrell Davis's record for most yards rushing in one season. Remember, we're going to have to go to a break here. We'll carry this over after the break. But some football coaches actually even wrote into this show and said that he should play that last game and break Eric Dickerson's record. No. I just thought about it today. Nick Sirianni did everything right? Setting him down, Barkley in the last, signing him. Remember that whole deal when they said running backs are a dime a dozen? Guess not, Moose. Guess not. Saquon Barkley, what a story.
We saw it last year when everybody says running backs are a dime a dozen and easy to replace. And yet it was the veterans. It was Josh Jacobs. It was Saquon Barkley. It was Derrick Henry, all producing. Even in Tennessee, where my Titans are, they thought it was going to be, we'll just flip it over to Tajay Spears. No, they brought in Tony Pollard out of Dallas. And he ended up being the guy who handled the bulk of the work. Running backs proved their value. They had a renaissance last year. Maybe this is going to be a flash in the pan, but maybe it's a sign of things to come. When you have somebody good, keep them. I was on the train saying they should have played Saquon in the last game to break the record, because that's legacy. That'll last forever. And I don't know that I'm necessarily changed off of that, but I can admit that Nick Sirianni was right, because his decision, whether that was the sole reason or not, hey, it ended up in a Super Bowl win, and Saquon's getting paid. So it all worked out.
A flood of stories are entering my mind, so hang around, everybody. We'll be right back after this brief pause. We're in the warm-up, and we're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Give it her on a Wednesday. By the way, it may take weeks, months, or even years to get the call to be a stem cell donor. Saving lives takes commitment and dedication, just like being a hockey player. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register online at blood.ca/getswabbed and spread the word amongst your family and friends. We are Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, live here on Game Plus TV, also airing in 32 U.S. states. If you're watching in America, fire us a note. We hear from people in Ohio all the time, New Jersey, Texas. Let's bring the Moose in. He's in Toronto, Canada. We're also, Hour 1, brought to you by Culligan. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. And it's funny, Moose. Remember I said I was getting a little distracted there. My phone was going off. Some guy who you know, don't want to name him here on national television, but he wanted to know my schedule for June 20th and 21st. I think he wants us to do a live on-location broadcast or be involved. I don't know. He just said, what are you doing? That came up on my phone, actually on my MacBook. I'm like, my plan's to be broadcasting baseball. So that is the one nice thing when you are working for a team or you're a play-by-play guy, you get this. You know your schedule. It's kind of nice to be able to say, I'm going to be here on this day. Not a lot of people, I feel like, can say that, you know?
Not in our business, man. And I know both sides of that really, really well. Not knowing your schedule, so not wanting to commit or being unable to commit to things. But when you know your schedule, that's a really nice peace of mind to know, okay, I'm free that week. but these weeks I'm not.
Yeah, he may be watching right now. I don't know, but he asked, what are you doing June 20th, 21st? I may be calling baseball. That's the plan. However, no money, no funny. What are we talking here? Money talks, Mr. Whalen. Speaking of baseball, I got one for you. The New York Mets led the major leagues in spending for the third straight season in 2024 and have totaled $1.36 billion in payroll and luxury tax over 4 years under owner Steve Cohen, exceeding what the Marlins, Pirates, and Rays have each spent on players in the past 21 years. The Mets established a $333.3 million regular payroll record last season, according to figures finalized by Major League Baseball this week. And ooh, doggy, could I sit and talk about this for a while? And I think a lot of our viewers can too, because last I checked, the Mets haven't won a World Series. They weren't even in it. They were in the NLCS, as you know, against LA. They were one series away, but that's still not winning it. And as we said off the top of the show, I was from me to you away, Moose, from Steve Cohen 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, at a preseason game here the Mets were playing. This is a very typical RP story. If you know me, it won't surprise you, but I try to sneak right down by the Mets dugout to get a picture of John Gibbons. He was managing them that day on a split squad, and the usher came and grabbed me by the shirt, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm trying to take a photo. I get it, but the owner of the Mets is right here. And you can't be here. He's like, come back later in the game. He'll be gone. You can take all the pictures you want. Take all the damn pictures you want. Well, we didn't stay to the end of the game, and when we left, Cohen was still there. But the point is, the poor guys that try to buy a championship and can't. There's a lot of those in all leagues. Yeah, how much do you think about that, man? Because I actually think about it more than I should, considering I don't own a team.
Well, that's the thing that we all need to understand about putting your balls on the table or about taking risk. Taking risk, there's no guarantees. And you think the more money you spend, the less risk you take, the more guarantees you have. And that should be the case, but it's not always the case. So you can't have that safety net. You're going to go all in and push your chips in the middle, which means you're risking to lose it. And everybody wants to put the chips in and buy everything so it can guarantee a win. Nothing guarantees a win in life or in sports. You have to be willing to take a risk.
I love the discussion because there's just so many rich guys, but only one can win. They all want to win. Like you say, having the most expensive payroll absolutely gives you the better chance to win. Well, all the way down to senior hockey, for the love of God. I was talking with some guys about money that they made in senior hockey and came in and had 24 points in 3 games and blah, 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 blah. What, better players generally do give you better results, but it doesn't necessarily give you a championship. And it must drive Steve Cohen nuts. We spent all this money and we haven't won a World Series, which that's baseball. And to be honest, out of everything, they probably haven't figured out the most. It depends on your perspective. If you're a fan of the Pirates or the Marlins, you know you are never going to win. You're never going to win. You go to the ballpark for the hot dogs, for the same reason I go to the movies. But you don't go there expecting that you're going to win. Because you know you're not going to. We often talk here in South Florida, Darren, about what's the pecking order of the sports teams. And it's the Dolphins number 1. Anybody will tell you it's the Dolphins. But from there, it gets a little confusing. And it depends what county you're in. Panthers are a lot of people's number 2. The Heat are a lot of people's number 2. Inter Miami and Messi have shot right up there. Nobody even talks about the Marlins. Nobody even talks about the Marlins. You wouldn't even know there was an MLB team here. So that sucks. But the owner doesn't want to spend the money, so here we are. What is the, now my phone's ringing. Oh, my, it's that same guy, Darren. I'm going to kill him.
How about that?
What's the sports pecking order? What's the sports pecking order? What's the sports pecking order in Toronto?
Yeah, I think the sports pecking order is pretty clear. Leafs number 1. I also think it's pretty clear that the Toronto Blue Jays are number 2 in this city. And then it starts to get a little confusing. Like Toronto FC hasn't been very good, so they're not number 3. The Raptors haven't been very good, so I don't know if they're number 3. The Argos, we kind of joke that they're off the radar, but they might be on some days as high as 3, but probably 4. And then I look at the PWHL, and I'm trying to think of what else I'm missing. The Toronto Tempo are going to be probably an opportunity to shoot up to number 3, the new WNBA team coming in a year. We know the top 2, and then it gets muddy after that.
I feel like a lot of markets are the same for all our viewers out there in Calgary. Like these cities in Canada are exploding sports-wise. They are. You got the surge in the CEBL, and man, we're having such a great discussion here that we have to speed up these topics here to get them all in. But in Calgary, which you can put the Okotoks Dogs as Calgary's baseball team in the WCBL, you got the surge in the CEBL, you got the Flames, the Wranglers, the Hitmen. I'm going to be missing a few teams here. The Junior A teams, the university teams. My God. The point is it's crowded to try and get known there. Like, for instance, I've had hockey fans say the Hitmen, nobody even talks about them. Nobody goes to the games. Nobody knows when or where they're playing. And they used to be a big deal. They used to draw 7,000 a game. But to sit and say, what's the sports pecking order in a Calgary or even in Edmonton, I think would be very difficult to say. Yeah, this one's on me. I gotta get unsync my phone because it just drives me nuts. Texts are going off here. I'm gonna kill this guy. He's clearly not watching the program because he's calling and texting me in the middle of it.
Oh no.
Regarding Ron Este, the Hall of Fame D lineman from LSU. He's in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame as well. His advice to paint your donuts with underarm. You won't need Gold Bond medicated formula. You won't need Jockey. Nothing. That's all you got to do. Freddie, watching in Winnipeg, writes in and he says, thank you very, very much. I do it almost every immediate relief. Rub your knackers with underarm deodorant. It works great. What else do I have here? Oh, NHL tonight, which we'll get to. You beat me, Moose. This might be the very first time that you've pulled past me in the standings. You lead 83-82. How about that?
How about that? I knew I had a pretty good night last night. I wasn't sure the official score, but yeah, it was a good night last night. Yeah, happy to be in front for now, but as we know, that's not going to last.
Okay, we got a lot of things. We got a lot of things to get to. We got a lot of things on the table here. Tony from Cochrane, big supporter of ours, says Roughnecks lacrosse is big as well in Calgary. Oh, yeah, they're drawing huge. I've been to games there with 18,000 in the Saddle Dome. I was thinking about Winnipeg, which, by the way, Winnipeg's going to be in a topic here next. What's their sports pecking order? I got to think Jets, Bombers, and then from there probably gets murky too. Gold Eyes, Sea Bears, but the Canadian Elite Basketball League, which they're dear friends of ours, I call them our startup cousins. They're in year 6. We're in year 6. The Canadian Elite Basketball League announced Tuesday that Leonard Asper, Canadian lawyer, entrepreneur, and CEO of Anthem Sports and Entertainment. That's the company that owns this channel that we're on right now. Len is our daddy. He has purchased the Brampton Honey Badgers of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. The team was formerly owned by the league, the CEBL, following the franchise's second season after relocating to Brampton from Hamilton in November 2022. Asper's leadership and guidance will aim to elevate the organization to new heights on the court and in the local community. Meanwhile, this one slipped by me, but it was earlier in the week. A group led by General Manager Joel Anthony has purchased the Canadian Elite Basketball League's Montreal Alliance. Did you know that? The CEBL, which previously owned that team, announced the sale to Alley-Oop Investments Monday. Joel Anthony is a two-time NBA champion who played 490 games with the Heat, Celtics, Pistons, and Spurs. Like, Look over your shoulder, bro. I have heard that the CFL is nervous about the growth of the CFL is nervous about the CEBL. And because it's competition, I guess. They air the games on this channel. We've got Cody John coming up from the Saskatchewan Rattlers next hour. Bravo, Len, is what I'm getting at, Darren. The league's making some big moves.
Yeah, and it's really good. It started as one owner, Richard Petko. We talked about that, owned the league and the teams, and now bringing in private ownership for each of these clubs. And I think it's a positive step, moving in the right direction. And I'm excited to see where this league goes. We've talked about it since its inception, but it continues to grow and thrive, and all exciting things. So this is another big week for the league.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. And what's interesting about that, we haven't done this for quite some time, but our viewers love the topic of ticket prices. And maybe we'll get into that a little bit next because it affects everybody. These Canadian Elite Basketball League games, I see in Calgary, the tickets are like $35, $37. That's not bad. It's pro basketball. I don't know what they are in that Southern Ontario region. You'd have to tell me or any of the viewers that are watching. I think Winnipeg, Saskatoon, it's like $30. But I could also go to a Panthers game for $30. You got to know where to go to the right ticket reselling sites and stuff. But you can get NHL tickets for $35. NHL tickets in Canada for $35 on game day. So I guess my point is, what is the ceiling for the CEBLs, the CFLs, because they are in the lower tier? Sorry, but it's true. All of those leagues. I just wonder. But the CEBL is clearly growing and attracting some pretty successful, wealthy sports media people to be involved. I love it. It's good for people like us. We'll be right back, everybody. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network. I should tell you the Progressive Insurance text line is open. What the hell is it? 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders. Plus, behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. And also, sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Best of all, it's free. Sign up today at rodpeterson.com. You'll get Moose's column in there. We've nicknamed it today Moose Droppings. It's the only place you'll find my weekend. It's the only place you'll find my weekend 10 things column. Okay, we're good. We're good. Let's bring the Moose in. 902-518-3033. And regarding all of what we've been talking about here today, Moose, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in and he says, where the hell else can you go for mental health, personal hygiene tips, sports talk, and a little religion than the RP show? You gotta love it. We love it. We love it. I guess this is why they say that our show's one of a kind. You look like you want to say something, Moose, so say it.
No, I'm just having a good time. I'm having a great day today, as we do every day on this program.
You love to hear it. Okay, well, this is hilarious. I guess we're going to bust into the viewer takeover a little early. We got some new viewers here. Puffy Lover writes in and says, hi from Regina. Hi. Love me some Queen City. The city that I was born in, as was Elon Musk's mom, was also born in Regina. Look it up. North Texas Mean Green writes in and he says, Vitek Vanacek traded to the Panthers. Thoughts, Rod? Well, I'll answer it, even though we addressed it earlier. Vitek Vanacek traded from Florida to the from San Jose to the Florida Panthers today. Very quickly, because we addressed this already earlier. You should have showed up when we started today. Coffee starts at noon Eastern, 10 Mountain. But this is the backup they were looking for Bob. We didn't see anybody around after they traded Spencer Knight, so they had to go out and get somebody, but they know this guy, Vitek Vanacek's been here before, so it doesn't matter. They only play Bob in the big games anyways. It reminds me, Darren, when I first started falling in love with Florida, I got to thank the Rough Riders because I was coming down to cover their camps. And we had them all over Florida. We had them in Vero Beach at Dodgertown. We had them at Bradenton, Florida, which is interesting because the Blue Jays are at Pittsburgh today, and they play their minor league games in Bradenton, Florida, the Pirates. And I went to a 12-step meeting right across the street from where they'll be playing that game. And that was wild, let me tell you. But that's where I fell in love with Florida, was coming down to cover these camps. And my point on all that is we had, I think, 10 quarterbacks in camp one time. 10. And, of course, the rabid Rider fans want a scouting report on every damn one of them, which is fine because they're fans and that's what they do. I remember, you know when I told you we used to drive around, me and Luke Mullender would drive around and do Chris Jones imitations? We would just drive around in our rental car and imitate Chris Jones and make things up. And so I'm like, Chris, what do you think about the 9th quarterback on the depth chart today and how he played? Well, it don't really matter. because we just played Darien anyways. That kind of thing. It was so much fun. John in Edmonton writes in, I'll throw you this hot potato, Darren. John in Edmonton says, when will we find out about the CFL commissioner? There has been no rumors, no nothing. And March 21st, the CFL Combine starts. You can handle that one.
Training camps open in May. I hope we have one before the start of the season. That's all. Nobody's talking about it. There are no rumors. Nobody's even asking the questions except you, John. The league, everybody's getting a raise because the salary cap went up. So things are good. Hey, maybe we're the first league that doesn't need a commissioner. I don't know. But no news for a while.
We were just talking about this before you know what? Actually, what the hell? Why not? Everybody fill up your coffee because it's going to be a long day or a long show. I was just saying to Darren, there's a lot of things with the CFL that I don't agree with, but I don't want to sit and bang on them every day because that's not going to endear us to them. And the parallel to that was I was listening to Mike Florio this morning on Pro Football Talk. I just love him because he's a truth speaker like me. And he was saying with Chris Sims, and I wonder if you noticed this, Darren. I'm sure you have. You're a bright kid. But a lot of the old guard NFL guys are getting out of the NFL and going to college. Bill Belichick, Mike Lombardi are a great example of that. Saban might have, but he just said, I'm out. But they don't like the way the NFL is being run. And I guess Lombardi's taken a lot of shots at them recently, specifically on the Pat McAfee show. One quote was, they got guys making up the rules that never played football before. Who the hell allowed this to happen? And there's things going on in the CFL. There's things obviously going on in the broadcast industry that I don't like. But I don't want to be the guy sitting there banging on them every day because it's not going to make me look good. And those old school NFL guys are pretty lucky. Further to that, they're going to do Hard Knocks on UNC this year. Did you hear this? Because no NFL team wants it anymore. And there are owners that are mad because they're like, why are we giving Belichick the pub? He's not even in the league anymore. They tried to cancel Belichick, but they're going to UNC to do hard. Can you believe this stuff? This is real life, Darren.
I know. We talk about the NFL and how big the NFL is and how untouchable it is and how it just continues to grow. But I think the one threat to the NFL might be college football in terms of popularity and now money and growth and getting the people involved. Maybe there's a day where college football becomes, bigger than the NFL or a more desirable place to be than the National Football League. We might be there already in some cases. Obviously, Bill and Lombardi are two of them.
Well, and that's the thing is the NFL, I just think, can't fail. They're making too much money. What could they do that would implode the product? Whereas the CFL is not in that position, let's put it that way. But they don't want us or anybody talking about their commissioner search. They don't want us or anybody kicking over rocks to find out the financials, which I said to you this morning, by the way. And I'm going to let you go right after this. But I said, this is not government funding, irregularities. This is not national security. It's not life and death. So really, who gives a shit? They'll let us know when they let us know. It is not life and death. I know that's probably a fairly rare take. You?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, when they have a commissioner or when there's news, we're going to find out. And the fact that, the Justin Dunks or the Farhans or the Dave Naylors haven't been reporting on this or it hasn't shown up on 3 Down or these places is because there's legitimately the conversations aren't happening. The information's not out there. If it was, we would have lists of who they're interviewing and the potential finalists and all the rest and drumming up excitement. I honestly don't know that it's happening. And my guess is they maybe have somebody in mind and it's not working out in terms of negotiating. That'd be my guess. But who knows? We'll find out when they want us to find out. And until then, let's enjoy the things that are happening.
Let's just be fans. I like that. I'll see you in hour 2, Moose.
See you then.
Heavy Gym Sports update coming up in a mini overtime right after this. Here live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
A heavy Gym Sports headline update. The defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers continued to be active in the lead up to the NHL trade deadline. The Panthers acquired goalie Vitek Vanecek today from the San Jose Sharks for 25-year-old forward Patrick Giles. Vanecek gives Florida depth in net along with Chris Driedger behind two-time Vezina Trophy winning starter Sergei Bobrovsky. The trade comes after the team sent Spencer Knight to Chicago as part of a blockbuster deal for top pairing defenseman Seth Jones. I actually said earlier that I thought they'd had Vanecek here before. Who the hell am I thinking of? He hasn't been here before. This is his fourth NHL team. And Clearly, they weren't happy with what they had behind Bob, but this is not an urgent issue for who will be the next one in Florida. For the general manager, Bill Zito, the time is now, clearly. We'll be addressing this on our Cats and Bolts podcast, which will drop later today from Podcast Junkies here in South Florida. The struggling Vancouver Canucks look to snap a 2-game slide tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. The Canucks are 2 points behind the Calgary Flames for the final playoff spot in the Western Conference. With a game in hand, the Ducks have won 2 of 3, including a 6-2 road win against the Edmonton Oilers last night. In the East, the Ottawa Senators will try to get their playoff chase back on track. Ottawa has lost 6 of 7 heading into tonight's game in Chicago against the 31st place Blackhawks. The Sens are 1 point outside of the playoffs and have a game in hand on the Detroit Red Wings, who occupy the second wildcard spot. The Montana's Brier continues this morning with draw 13 in Kelowna. Team Canada's Brad Gushue takes his 5-0 record to the ice against Alberta's Kevin Cooey. The Alberta rink is 2-3 in round-robin play at the Men's National Curling Championship. Also this morning, Manitoba's Matt Dunstone plays New Brunswick. BC faces Newfoundland, and Manitoba's Reed Carruthers takes on Nunavut. The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Yes, we are streaming, but also, of course, airing live on Game Plus television across Canada and 32 U.S. states. Talking about the old school guard going to college football like Belichick and company. G. Roy Simon. There's another one, went back to Maryland as the general manager. It's this new term. Utah Darren writes in and he says, college football is making a huge push to become more like the NFL than they ever have been before. I actually meant to go down on this road earlier and kind of got sidetracked. That's on me. But you look at the Mets and the payroll, $333 million. The money spent the last 3 years on the Mets by the Mets owner, Steve Cohen, is more than 3 teams, Marlins, Pirates, and I can't remember the third, have in the last 21 years combined, because they're trying to buy a championship. And Cohen's willing to pay the luxury tax. I was just reading this morning, and I don't bring it up here because I don't think too many of you care about it, but the concept of revenue sharing in the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, which the Miami Hurricanes are in Clemson. So you're going to have teams that are making so much money and paying so much money to players and then paying basically a luxury tax to the smaller schools so they can at least have a team. They're trying to buy championships, and it's just the way that it is. It's mind-boggling, certainly how things have changed. We'll talk about all of this and more when we come back next hour. Cody John joins us from the CEBL Saskatchewan Rattlers and a lot of viewer takeover. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back after this timeout.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. You know, I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. And we got to get the Moose in here as soon as possible. Moose, I don't know about you. You said that you're having a great day and it's quiet there. Here, everything's going crazy. My phones are going off, texting, calls. I don't know what the hell's going on, so you might have to take over here. I think everything's okay, but I'm not totally sure. It's one of those Mercury's in retrograde type days, you know. If it's only one day, I think we can get through it. Everything is happening. I want to settle things down here and get ready for some NHL trade deadline talk. The Florida Panthers acquiring goalie Vitek Vanacek from the San Jose Sharks today. His record was something along the lines of 3-10-3. They're just looking for a serviceable backup to Sergei Bobrovsky. The trade talk is going crazy. I'm going to read a couple of comments here from the viewers, but I got to bring it back in line here. I got to get it back on track with just you and me. But Cruz writes in and he says the NFL should only allow one franchise tag because the Bengals tagging T. Higgins again is kind of screwing him over. Yeah, he gets the big pay, $25 million, but he's missing out on guarantees and the security of a contract. They've been doing the franchise tag thing since 1994. This is agreed to by the NFL Players Association, and the fact that now it's the average of the 2, 3, 4, and 5 highest paid players at the position. I don't think T. Higgins is getting screwed over at all. I don't think he wants to leave Cincinnati. I really don't, Darren. And this is a way to make both sides happy for at least another year. Him and the offensive lineman from Dallas were the only players tagged in the National Football League. So that's number one, way off the script of what we've been talking about. But we said we would discuss NFL notes today. I think that's a good deal for T. Higgins and the Bengals.
It is. If he's really unhappy, I mean, he could hold out and not play. I mean, franchise tagging him doesn't preclude them from signing a long-term deal with him. It's just gets it done before free agency and the league season starts so that he can't go anywhere else. You know, you have that tag to use, so you might as well use it. They can still negotiate a deal. And if he's that upset, he could hold out. But that's a good piece of money. And he'll take the payday, I'm sure.
Great comments coming in from the audience. When we talked about Steve Cohen, and nobody has paid more in salary nor luxury tax than the owner of the New York Mets, Steve Cohen. And I was, can I say, sitting beside him 10 days ago at a preseason game, a grapefruit game here. And whether that's good or bad for baseball or not doesn't really matter. If you're a fan of certain teams, you know you're never going to win. That's just the way that it is. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and he says, calling it a luxury tax is a euphemism. It's cheating, plain and simple. Here's the thing, Jeff. I hate to burst your bubble, but life ain't fair, and we don't have time for the life lesson. We just don't. Okay? Money puts you ahead of the queue. That's life. And that's the difference between Canada and America. Moving on, John in Edmonton writes in and he says, Rod, thoughts on NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman speaking on the Squawk Box on CNBC in New York today, stating that tariffs could affect the league because 7 Canadian teams are paid in U.S. dollars. I saw the headline. I didn't see the interview. And I'll be honest with you, Serena and I, this is starting to get really serious, if it hasn't been for a while, for weeks. The threat of tariffs and then the imposition of the tariffs. But we joke that, hey, when it starts to affect hockey, Canadians really get pissed off. And that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. But it's also true. And Bettman admitted this severity, this disparity in the U.S.-Canadian dollar is getting wider and wider and wider. And trust me, I just spoke to my bank about it on Monday. The Ken Access Credit Union, by the way. It's not good. People are going to sit up and take more notice now because it's going to affect the Canadian NHL teams. It's kind of sad, but that's true.
It is. It's really true. You know, there's a few things like if the dollar weakens, the loonie weakens compared to the US dollar, that's going to make it a lot tougher because as Canadians, we're still buying our tickets and our jerseys in Canadian dollars. But yet we got to pay salaries in American dollars and all the rest. So that becomes tough. That salary cap is going up and up and up. And that means teams have to increase their revenues, which means ticket prices are likely going to go up and up and up. So it becomes really tough. And it should be a concern. Now, if the dollar goes the other way, then it's good news for Canadians, but something to be concerned about for sure.
902-518-3033, Progressive Insurance text line. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. I mean, it's in my commentary today. People may or may not listen. Some will, some won't. So what? But if the biggest problem in your life is how this will affect your Winnipeg Jets or your Toronto Maple Leafs or your Edmonton Oilers financially, be happy that's your biggest problem. Because this will be affecting a lot of businesses and those that are feeding their kids. I'm looking at it this way. I said, if you're anxious and stressed about what's going on in the world with trade, bring it back to what you can control, worry about yourself. And I'm like, whew, I'm just so glad I got this taken care of financially before this stuff hit and before Trump got into office, or it would have been real bad. John goes on to say, hey, Rod, $10.50 for a large pop at Rogers Place and $9.50 for a regular. Hey, John, then don't buy it. It's pretty damn simple, bro. And, you know, by the way, Darren, I do struggle with being too honest. Struggle with it every damn day. I was at the Till the other day at the Marin Bank Arena, the Panthers Arena, and I love the chicken tenders, okay? Guilty pleasure. I love the chicken tenders. I could eat for free up in the press box, but if I don't like what's up there, I go down to the concession. $19.50 for chicken tenders. Get about your U.S., John. That's like $100 Canadian. And the lady says to me, are you a territory member? Which means, are you a season ticket holder? And I'm like, no. It would have saved me $6 U.S. if I'd said yes. She wasn't even going to check. I could tell by the look in her eye. But I'm like, no, I'm not a season ticket holder. I got to pay full price, $19.50 for these chicken tenders, but they were worth every penny. Colt in San Diego writes in and he says, hey, Rod, how about my Minnesota Vikings? They're not franchise tagging Sam Darnold. Well, I wonder why. They paid him $10 million last year on a fill-in basis. He wasn't even supposed to start. And Darren, I don't know. You tell me, Colt, what's the average salary of the number 2, number 3, number 4 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL? roughly 50 million. 60 million, I know, is number one. Roughly 50 million. If you're the Vikings, are you going to pay Sam Darnold 50 million for 1 year? You're not going to do that, especially if he's not starting in week one because you got J.J. McCarthy ready to go. Why did anybody think they were going to do this, Darren?
Well, because Sam Darnold played so well, and I'm on board as saying they should bring back Sam Darnold. You know, it's a good thing. The fit worked, culture worked. They had a great year. Why mess with that? You got a young quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. You can wait to bring him along. I think you can sell that to J.J. McCarthy that we're going to roll Sam Darnold out for a couple of years. And if it works, and then you're not part of our future plans, we'll put you in a good situation somewhere else. But I was reading Matthew Berry's article, the fantasy guru, formerly of ESPN, now of NBC Sports. Matt Berry was talking about rumors from the Combine in Indianapolis. And one was that they're not going to sign Sam Darnold. He's going to go somewhere else. They want J.J. McCarthy to start. And if they're going to bring a veteran in, they're going to bring in Daniel Jones as a veteran backup out of the New York Giants. And he's going to be in behind J.J. McCarthy because you were pretty close to the number he had. They would have to pay Sam Darnold what he's earned based on the year he had, which would be top 10 starting QB money, which would be $40 million or north of $40 million. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because they want to play J.J. McCarthy. So there you go.
That's the long-winded answer to what I just said. You're not going to pay him that high a salary, especially if he's not going to play. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, he says, didn't think Rod was going to step into the political puddle today. I was up till 3 a.m. watching Trump's blithering rhetoric and the aftermath, and I'm glad Rod is sticking with happy today. Oh, I always will, but it is affecting us. So I'm just explaining how it affects us. And again, have you signed up, Tony, for my Weekend 10 Things column yet? Because you should, at rodpeterson.com, our newsletter. I said I loathe hate. And hate is such a strong word, but it applies here. I hate when news and sports intersect. And these tariffs and the weakening Canadian dollar is going to affect 7 Canadian NHL teams, and it ain't good. And Bettman finally admitted it today, which is interesting that he would, because he's always, everything's fine, nothing to see here, like most leaders that we know, which is, mature of them, and they're trying not to rile people up. But it's getting to a point where you can't ignore it. I wrote a couple things down here. You have to understand, okay, number one, I posted the clip to social media today of Rich Sutter talking about Mikko Rantanen being available. And why is Mikko Rantanen on the trade block? Rich went into a very eloquent answer as to why. Some Carolina podcasters that cover the Hurricanes wrote us, not really rudely, but they're like, he's not on the trade block. I guess you guys got to find something to talk about, and clicks are clicks, but he's not on the trade block. So all of this fake news, and I'll stop for a second and say it's 1:11 Eastern. 1:11 Eastern, guys. 11:11 Mountain. Anyways.
Beautiful.
We get sucked in all the time, Darren, but this is a fact. Stick with me. Elliot Friedman, longtime friend of mine, was on NHL radio this morning, and they were like, hey, Elliot, what are the teams going to do? What's Tampa Bay going to do? And he's like, well, they might be active, but they might not be active. Julian's not really into rentals, and I'm like sitting there going, why am I listening to this? You don't know. But I'm listening because just last week, Elliot said the Panthers are going to be in on Seth Jones, and 3 days later, they got him. So that was worth it. But for the most part, this is all bunk and conjecture and posturing and fake news. And that's just what it is. And for whatever reason, people can't get enough of it. And I've stopped fighting it, and I'm going with it. And people like it. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the Carolina podcasters, Mikko Rantanen is on the trade block until he signs a long-term deal, period. Because there's talk that they don't want to lose him for nothing. Got to decide what they're going to do. And they're a contending team, but they don't want to hang on to him just to lose him in the summer. And when people like Elliot Friedman are suggesting that the LA Kings are in the mix and that there might be a move to be had, yeah, they're on the trade block. It's just unfortunate the people in Carolina probably don't want to hear that or acknowledge it, that they might lose him because they just traded for him.
It's just so damn hard in a lot of ways to bite your lip. I still struggle with it every day. I'm 90% better than I used to be. God knows. I say it again. Everybody's like, you need to get back to the way you were before. No, I don't. I was a raging maniac. I'll admit it. I don't want to be that guy. So if this isn't what you want, tune out. But you're not going to see me telling anybody to shut their mouth like I did to Bo Levi. If I went back, I wouldn't do that again. I just got swept up in something, you know? Tony from Cochrane says, Darren's blog should be changed to moose droppings. That's hilarious. We'll have a conference call on that. Moose said he didn't have a problem with it. Moose droppings. No. I think it's really good. I came up with that today in the gym. If you're okay with it, I think that's what we're going to do.
Why not? I think it's fun.
Oh, do you got to run after this, or can you come back later on in the show?
Well, you know I can always come back.
Well, because there's things I didn't even get to. I said we were going to talk about the Oscars. Wanted to talk about Toronto's WNBA team now has a celebrity owner, and Serena Williams, right? Didn't that drop yesterday or the day before? Look, that's a whole other thing, and it's not that I'm clearly not anti-CFL. I love the CFL. The point is I want to talk about all the other leagues, and the CFL fans get mad that we're not talking about them more. But my point is there's a lot of really exciting things going on in sports, and this celebrity ownership thing is really cool. I wish there were more celebrity owners with teams in every league. It gets us excited because I'll tell you something. If I'm ever wearing anything CFL related here, and by the way, any rider stuff, and I mean, I got the CFL football, I got the hat, I got a lot of CFL stuff here, bucket hat. If there is a football fan that sees me wearing that, and almost every time someone will go, Toronto Argonauts. And about half of those times they'll say John Candy, Wayne Gretzky. They remember. And that was 34 freaking years ago. That's what they remember. People will remember that Serena Williams is in the ownership group of the Toronto Tempo, right? The fact that I even know their damn name is an act of God. Because I don't know any of the PWHL team names, and I don't care. But I'm getting swept up in this WNBA stuff, and it's cool. And I got to make our NHL picks with you, too. As a matter of fact, we can do them right now. We got time. Washington at the New York Rangers. Who do you have?
I'll take the Rangers tonight.
Okay, good, because I'm going to take Washington. Ottawa at Chicago.
Ooh, Ottawa.
Okay, Chicago for me and Spencer Knight. Toronto at Vegas. Ooh.
Great game alert. Give me the Leafs.
Good. I'll take Vegas. It's nighttime, baby. St. Louis at L.A. Kings for me.
L.A. Yeah, L.A.
And Anaheim at Vancouver.
Ooh. Give me the Ducks to keep rolling.
You going to take the Ducks? Okay, I'll take Vancouver. Because they are not done yet. Okay, that's our NHL picks. That was easy. Everybody fire it up. Progressive Insurance text line 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. Moose, I'll see you a little later. Maybe when we're done the interview with Cody John. Just keep your phone on. Okay?
I'll be back. Yeah.
We're going to talk some Rattlers basketball when we come back. We're live on Game Plus TV, where we air CEBL games. Streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are.
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Well, I was just informed we do not have Cody John yet of the Saskatchewan Rattlers, which is unfortunate, but I can fill some time for a while. I will ask you to transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. And while we're at it, sports fans, sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights like my 10 Weekend Things column. It's the only place you can get it. Updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpeterson.com. You know, it's funny. I think Darren and I were talking the other day. It was like the kiss of death. We were saying, it feels like there's nothing going on. No, that's not a fact. NHL 5 games tonight. We just picked those. They are full on in the home stretch drive in the National Hockey League. And we've, you know, we sit there and we hang on every word of the insiders. We do. And more than anything, it's just entertainment. Because they don't know. Nobody saw this coming down. Nobody. The defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers continued to be active. In the lead up to the NHL trade deadline, the Panthers acquired goalie Vitek Vanacek today from the San Jose Sharks for 25-year-old forward Patrick Giles. Vanacek was 3-10-3 in 18 appearances with the Sharks this year. Nobody saw that coming. And it's like the thing that drives me the craziest is we all, And a lot of times I'm with you on this. Want to believe what we hear. And here's an example. If hockey's not your thing, how about the NFL? I was listening to this morning with Mike Florio and Chris Sims, and I know this to be a fact. They're talking about Shedeur Sanders and how some teams are souring on the Colorado quarterback, the son of Deion Sanders, because he's brash and he's arrogant. You didn't know that? Come on, you didn't know that? He's not a rookie. He's been starting in Colorado for multiple years. Your scouts could have told you that. So what they were saying is, the idea behind that is there's a narrative out there. Somebody's trying to make Shedeur Sanders look bad. Now, if you saw his interview at the Combine, the viewer here earlier asked who I thought was the best prospect at the Combine. I didn't watch 1 second of the Combine. I did see some of the interviews. And sure, Shedeur Sanders stood at the podium and said, yeah, we got haters. If we didn't have haters in the Sanders family, that's not everyday life. You see who my dad is? So he's confident. So the thing here is, with these teams in these, let's call them the situation rooms or the war rooms as they lead up to the trade deadline, no information, not only is no information getting out of those rooms with the general manager and his top soldiers, lieutenants, if there is any information getting out, it's false information to throw you off the trail. And we continue to get sucked right down in it. We can't get enough of it. I will say this, over the last couple of years, it really, really drove me crazy, really ticked me off. And I think saying drove me crazy is a good way to say it. I checked out for a while, and now I'm right back in it, hosting this show, talking about it, all the while realizing all it is a freaking bloody waste of all of our time. Because nobody saw this Vitek Vanacek trade coming down. Nobody. Colt in San Diego writes, and he says, did you see Curtis O'Rourke on the podium? No, I didn't. And it's, why are you saying O'Rourke? It's not O'Rourke, it's Rourke, right? Nathan Rourke, Curtis Rourke, can you please? It's not O'Rourke. John writes in from Winnipeg. He says, talk is cheap, but generally speaking, people love rumors, hunches, and all that BS. Oh, I know. I actually realized this decades ago. I'll say it to you now. Everybody loves a good rumor until they're the subject of one, right? The National Enquirer made a living out of that. What was that guy's name? Mike Walker? He used to always sign off the end of his columns with, and how was your week? Larry King was seen having coffee with Cheryl Ladd. Oh, my God. We do have some news you can use. See, I would rather deal with the actual news and dissect that instead of the what could have been. And while we sit here and wait for Cody John of the Saskatchewan Rattlers, and it's looking more and more like we're not going to have him, and that sucks. But news from the CEBL today, the Calgary Surge of the Canadian Elite Basketball League announced today that they are returning to the Scotiabank Saddledome to host their 2025 season finale. The Surge's final game of the 2025 season will take place Sunday, August 10th at 6 p.m. against the defending CEBL champion Niagara River Lions. Across the 2024 and 2025 regular seasons, the River Lions have won 2 or 3 games against the Surge. Both teams have qualified for the CEBL's championship weekend 2 years in a row. Last season, 12,327 fans showed up on the Saddledome to watch them. And by the way, there is news from the BC Lions today. We don't talk enough BC and Vancouver sports. BC Lions gentleman, I can hear. BC Lions General Manager Ryan Rigg made an announcement today that Rob Ralph has been promoted to Assistant General Manager, as well as the addition of United States scout Will Ark. Ralph enters his 7th season with the BC Lions after spending the last 4 as the Leo's top Canadian scout. Speaking of high-level Canadian athletes. Okay, Cody John joins us. He's a GTA guy from the Saskatchewan Rattlers, and I'm excited to have him. Cody, welcome to the RP Show. We've never had you on. as you get ready for the CEBL season. How you doing, my guy? What's keeping you busy these days as you get ready for the new season?
Thanks for having me on the show, first of all. But right now I'm just in the UK playing right now overseas. So we got like 14 games left. So kind of just staying busy, staying in shape. And this is what's keeping me ready for the up and coming CEBL season for sure.
Well, all of us that follow the CEBL and the Rattlers specifically, our show's produced in Saskatchewan, saw the news release that you're coming back. And anybody that's followed the league, as they're now in year 6, you're in the top 10 all time for games played. I felt like you could have gone anywhere to play this year. Yeah, but you wanted to go back to the Rattlers. Why was that a priority for you?
Just like the relationships I built over there, man. And, Barry, Eric, and, Larry, the head coach last year, just kind of embraced me and just let me just kind of play my game, man. And hopefully this could carry on and we could get some more wins this year for sure. So that was it, man. They just embraced me. And they let me show like the level that I could play at a high level. So it was great, man. So hopefully to continue that this year and get some wins.
Well, I'll tell you, listen, I'm not just some guy doing the interview. I go to the games, I follow the league, and I saw you guys got off your best start in franchise history, and then, because guess what? Some guys hit the bricks. And I said to Barry, this is why I love your general manager, Barry. Well, Barry's an honest guy. I said, Barry, what are you going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? He goes, recruit differently, which I think is really cool. Yeah. They're going to recruit differently, but they wanted you part of it. So speak about that culture and the plan in 2025 to get off to the best start and keep going the rest of the year.
The plan is just to, get guys that are fully committed for the whole summer. And I was one of those guys that played 20 games last year, and there's more games played this year, so I'm going to be there for all 24 games this year, and just staying the course, and just making sure we get guys that are going to be there the whole summer so we can build that chemistry, because it's not a long season, so we do need all 10, 12 guys the whole season. So that's really key for us for sure.
You mentioned in the news release the importance or your desire to bring a championship back to Saskatchewan, which I loved. But I mean, when you guys convened for training camp, were those guys talking about bouncing in the middle of the year? I feel like it kind of caught you all a little off guard.
Oh, no. They definitely didn't, man. But, like things happen, guys are playing well, and they obviously got other opportunities, which is amazing, because at the end of the day, they got families to feed and stuff like that. So if there's a better opportunity, we weren't mad at them or anything. We congratulated them, told them to take it. And, that's just a part of the game.
That's the thing. I never did get that sense that your brass were upset at those players, but it wasn't an ideal situation. Now, you are in this era of sport. We're all in this era of sports where it's do what's best for you. We see it at every level. So for you to sign in Sask, having played in Eastern Canada before in this league, I'm interested to know, I mean, you said you love Saskatoon and the relationships and stuff, but what's the big difference between playing in the Eastern Canada versus Western Canada?
Sask, there's not too much to do over there, man. So you kind of just really just focus on your craft and, just getting better every single day, and I really like that about Saskatchewan. I'm pretty a boring guy, so I like to be in the house and just work on my craft every single day. In Saskatchewan, I could do that. So I feel like that's where I took the jump this summer. And like I said, this staff, this is one of the first staffs that really believed in me in the CEBL, and they just let me kind of just be myself. So it was awesome.
Oh my God. Are you telling me there's still loyalty in sports, Cody? Is that what you're telling me, right? That's pretty rare, man.
Barely. It's very rare. Very rare. So, that was really big. They showed loyalty, they reached out to me right away, and they just expressed they want me to be a really big part of what they're trying to do this year. So, loyalty is huge for me. So,
well, yeah. And those are some good guys that you're working for. So that's very impressive to hear that. Your career is very impressive. Can you just tell our viewers where this great game of basketball has taken you? It's Mississauga is where you're from, right? It's been quite a road to get to the UK where you are right now.
Yeah. Yes. I'm on like my fifth year. Yeah, and I've been trying to get over here for a while because I've been working on getting my passport because my dad is from the UK and a whole bunch of stuff. So, I finally got it done. It's been a long journey. I played in a couple other countries. But, this UK is, it's growing. The basketball is really growing. It's taking a really big jump in the next years to come. So it's definitely a good market to be in for sure. So it's awesome.
And your college, not too many people would know, Canadians anyways, that it's Weber State, right? Not Weber State. Talk about your NCAA too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Weber State. Honestly, it was amazing, man. Weber State, they develop a lot of great guards coming out of there, like, of course, like Damian Lillard, and there's a bunch of other names, man. So it was an amazing experience, man. It really showed me, how to become a man and, my work ethic every single day. The head coach that was there, Randy Ray, he pushed me every single day to be the best that I could be, man. So, the culture over there is like I carried on till this day. You know what I mean? So it was amazing for sure.
Well, clearly they did have an impact on you, but I get the sense that you would have been a success no matter where you went. I think they were just as lucky to have you. But as we wind this interview up, Cody, give our viewers the best commercial for the CEBL and why they should get out to a game this summer.
The games were very exciting last year. Even though we never, did what we were supposed to do, but we play our hearts out every single game. We play exciting basketball, we play fast, and we were just exciting to watch, man. And there's a lot of special players that you guys should not miss to come and see. So, yeah.
Affordable tickets. It's like a mini NBA.
That too.
And the Rattlers have the best gear in sports. I love the forest green and the sand stuff. And you look up on the crowd, everybody's wearing it, man. You guys must lead the league in merchandise sales, I would think, right?
Maybe, yeah, for sure, man. Hopefully,
okay, Cody,
it gets even better.
Oh yeah, well, and pack that place. That's my personal goal: selling that place out and beating Calgary's record for attendance. Anyways, just out of my own curiosity, what time is it where you're at, Cody?
Ooh, it is, I think, like 6:45.
Oh, that's it? Okay. All right. I've never been over there, so I don't know about the time clock thing. But either way, I appreciate the time, man. Love watching you, and I'll see you this summer at SaskTel Center.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you. Cody John of the Saskatchewan Rattlers, one of the reasons that the league is so great. And we're big backers of the CEBL here. 902-518-3033 is the Progressive Insurance text line. Moose rejoins right after this, and we'll get to all your questions when we come right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting, wherever the best podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Everybody, are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, home of the Flames. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment, the ultimate training destination for players of all skill levels and ages. Achieve your hockey goals at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Let's bring the Moose back in, and I appreciate you, Moose, for doing this. Really no reason. We got those picks out of the way real fast, so I appreciate you doing that. But it's turned into a bit of a hodgepodge of a day. I feel like it was the kiss of death the other day when you when you and I agreed. Feels like there's nothing going on. We got our lights punched out by everything else, right?
Oh, yeah. The rest of the world woke up and said, we'll show you guys.
Yeah. Well, and that reminds me, Colt in San Diego writes in and he says, breaking news, the Seattle Seahawks have released wide receiver Tyler Lockett. Thoughts? Well, coming up in the sports update, I was just assembling it in the break. There's news that the Vegas Raiders are poised to release Gardner Minshew with 1 year left on his contract, a 2-year, $25 million deal. You remember at the start of the show, I said, Darren, maybe you should host this because I don't know where to go with this. People want to sit and dissect 6 ways from Sunday. Darius Slay being cut by the Eagles the other day. Tyler Lockett, their best receiver with the Seahawks. Gardner Minshew. Do they even have a quarterback there? I guess. People are, you know what it is? People are looking for it to make sense when it doesn't make sense. So it's like a dog chasing your tail. You're always going to be trying to make sense of this. There is no sense of it other than these are money decisions.
They're money decisions and moving on from guys at the end. It happens all the time. For Tyler Lockett, 10 years with the Seattle Seahawks. His time is up. I mean, he wasn't the same player the last couple of seasons that you came to know and love if you were a Seahawks fan. And then, if you want to make it worse, DK Metcalf has requested a trade. I just saw that in the break from Adam Schefter. DK Metcalf, a star receiver. He is the best receiver Maybe Jackson Smith and Jigba now, but he's the best receiver on the Seattle Seahawks. He's requested a trade. And so you want to talk about the rumors that are spilling out, Gardner Minshew in Vegas. Well, now we're talking about a potential Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf reunion in Las Vegas with the Raiders. And wouldn't that be something if it all worked out?
Just sit back and watch and enjoy. I say it is a great thing that we brought you on here because I didn't connect all those dots, which I guess as we sit here on Canadian television, we would be a disservice not talking about the Canadian leagues. Although, what did you say to me the other day? They're all talking about NBA on the Canadian networks, particularly TSN, and probably talking about March Madness too because they're carrying the games. But with the CEBL, Big John in Edmonton writes in, he says, I still have to tell people we have a professional basketball league in Canada called the CEBL. I've been doing that since it started in 2019. Not many people know about the league still. There's not much we can do about that. It's marketing. It's talking about it on shows like this. It would help if the national networks talk about the league, but they don't. I'll say this, to have this Cody John come on and say, I wanted to go back to the Rattlers because they wanted me. He's from Mississauga. He played for teams out in the GTA and the CEBL. But I was at a game in Calgary with the Surge where the players grabbed the microphone from the public address announcer, passed it around, and thanked the crowd for coming. It was at Winsport, the home of Hockey Canada. I mean, do fans really care about that? I do. I got a lot out of it. But does Joe Sixpack or Sally Sambuca care if it's not the NBA or the NFL? Do you know what I mean? Because I like sport at all levels, but I feel like a very rare voice in the forest on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the most part, we're not just going because of a lack of something else to do. We need to be pulled to go to something. And so if there are fans going to the games, it's because the teams and the league is doing a good job to show the fans this is where you need to be and this is going to be a big deal. And you feel that. I don't think anybody's spending their money and going just because there's nothing else to do and they only just want to support the leagues, right? I mean, people go because they want to be entertained and largely because they are getting entertained. It's a good thing.
Okay. So because this has been a hodgepodge of a day, and that's fine, a dog's breakfast. The priority one viewers of this show tell us they like the variety of it. You put in your column, the very popular Moose Droppings column, some words about the Oscars. And to be honest, I skimmed over it. I edit the column before I post it, but I didn't really read much about it because I'm not into it. If the Oscars I used to watch, but I felt 9 times out of 10, I never even heard of the movies that are winning the awards. I'm like, how did I miss that coming out? You know how that's a thing? But I feel like you were glued to the Oscars the other night. Am I right?
I was. Yeah, you are right. And as I'm watching, I was happy that I was glued to it because I do enjoy watching them. I haven't been watching the last number of years. And then I caught myself watching, I'm like, why am I watching? Because this feels like a giant down year when it comes to movies and that. And I think it's an anomaly. I think last year was good. I think it's going to be good again next year. But I was entertained. I like it. And yeah, it was fun to watch.
What was your highlights? Like, I think I wasn't even watching when Will Smith slapped Chris
Rock. Yeah,
you remember that? Yeah, Chris Rock. I wasn't even watching then. I saw the hubbub over it. What was the highlight? And what night was it?
I know, Sunday night.
Okay.
They had a really nice tribute, good musical tribute to James Bond. They're about to go through a change in that franchise, iconic. That was really good. There was some good musical performances. Conan O'Brien was the host, first time ever. I thought he was pretty good. They brought out the LA Fire Department and did a little thing with them, which was funny, but also respectful. And then the big winners, Adrian Brody, who had this weird career. You know, a lot of people maybe are like, who's Adrian Brody? He won an Oscar 20 years ago. Hasn't really done much in between, and then won for The Brutalist, which is a movie I haven't seen. And I watched the trailers, and it didn't really get me into it. But when I hear them talk about the movie, it's really about the American dream, one I want to see. And then the best picture was a a comedy, a rom-com called Anora, which I also hadn't seen. Didn't have a big theatrical release. I think it was at the film festivals, but also watched the trailer and it looked really good. So maybe we'll give those two a shot.
Well, there is no other day that this show would talk about the Oscars other than today, because we got into some personal hygiene tips, some stress and anxiety management tips. Might as well talk about the Oscars.
Approved.
Because what the hell? Today would be a day to do that. And what was it, you or Clark? Somebody came up with the idea of the poll question being, how do you consume movies, or what are you doing at home watching TV? Do you watch cable? Do you stream? You know, because it's all over the place. And I will end it on this. I was getting a massage at Massage Envy, the membership place that we belong to, last Friday. It was a 68-year-old grandma massaging me, Jackie, and she was pretty good. She's like, I don't do deep tissue. I said, I'm happy with whatever you got. And then we got into TV, and she goes, they've just ruined TV. All these channels, and nothing's on any of them. And I'm like, sister, you say less, as they say. It's hard to find something on TV. I guess the Oscars, you always know it's going to be on the Sunday night. But other than that, it's hard to sit down and watch TV anymore.
I know. It really is. You just can't, you just don't do it. I mean, we watch for sports, and
yeah,
that's honestly it. Like, I'll flip it on at night, late at night, just to have on in the background maybe. But if we're going to go watch a show, it's going to be exclusively probably on one of the streaming platforms. But for sports, we watch TV. And that's why we have channels like Game Plus and TSN and Sportsnet.
Right.
Sports, you need it live, and you're not watching that on demand.
Okay, we got some comments coming in regarding this and all the other things. So, Moose, thanks for coming back in. It was fun. Have a great afternoon.
Yes. Yeah, you too.
Overtime is next, and we're going to squeeze in a sports update as well. We're live here on the Game Plus television network, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Clark was wondering who the Vegas goalie or the Florida goalie was. I got V's on my mind, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Who the Florida goalie was that I thought was Vitek Vanacek. Florida Panthers acquiring goalie Vitek Vanacek from San Jose. Thomas Vokoun was the goalie I was thinking of that had been here before. Thomas Vokoun, the southpaw goalie. So Vitek Vanacek coming here as the backup to Sergei Bobrovsky. I'm not sure how many people saw that coming. I didn't. And by the way, Overtime Hockey Lanes brings you this overtime segment. Achieve your hockey goals at Overtime Hockey Lanes. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment, the ultimate training destination for players of all skill levels and ages. Visit them at 28th Street Northeast Calgary, and I saw they just opened another new lane there, so they're expanding. Great work, Randy and Michelle, and thanks to everybody that goes down there and mentions the RP show. It helps us out a lot. I'll try to get to, well, I will for sure get to this Heavy Gym Sports update in a second, but Freddie in Winnipeg writes in. Freddie says, hey, Rod, good interview with Cody. John, he seems like a good kid. I get a feeling after his playing career is over, he would be a good ambassador for UK basketball. Better yet, a coach maybe for a CEBL team one day. I feel like he's a kid that can do whatever he puts his mind to and wants to do. And he went back to the Saskatchewan Rattlers out of loyalty. It's so rare these days that it pops out when it happens. And by the way, I could go on forever on this, but Barry Rollick is a cool dude. He's the general manager of the Rattlers. He was on our show just a couple weeks ago. And why they've won a championship on his watch and will win more is, you know, their best players last year, Elijah Harkless, bounced in the middle of the year. What's that other kid's name? Jalen something, the former Raptor, bounced in the middle of the year for better deals. Cody John stayed. I don't know if he had an offer or not. It sounds like he wouldn't have left. But Jalen, I want to say Jalen Hurts, but it's not that. Doesn't matter. So I said to Barry in the interview here, how are you going to make sure that doesn't happen again? What do you need to do? He goes, recruit better, recruit differently. He put it on themselves instead of pointing the finger at those players. We just need to do our job differently. He's a winner. Winners win. Brother Sasko writes in, he says, hey, Reverend Rod, epic show. Has it been? He says, I like the name Moose Droppings, but it's taken from the Live from Moose Jaw YouTube show. I've never heard of it. He says, can you get him on the show and negotiate a settlement? Two of my favorite YouTube shows going at it would be epic. Signed, Brother Sasko. There's a show called Moose Droppings. Were you aware of this, Clark? I feel like if he's never heard of Moose Droppings per se. So I don't feel like we're infringing on any copyrights here. Delving into the chat stream, Stacy watching at Access World Headquarters says, I multitask and watch both TV and streaming. Good for you, bro. I am a one thing at a time kind of guy and always will be, but I look at these kids now and I think they're either going to grow up and be geniuses or grow up and be basket cases, and we just got to wait and find out with all these things going on at once. At least you're not a kid, Stacy. Al Broderick writes in, he says, non-theatrical movie releases has killed the Oscar night fun. I don't even know what that means. BW writes in and says, have not heard much of the United Football League, and it starts in 3 weeks. I've heard little bits of it, but I'm not planning my spring around it. Colt in San Diego says, great show today. As always, Rod and Moose on this Ash Wednesday. Thank you for the kind words, Colt. Heavy sports update. The Vegas Raiders plan to release quarterback Gardner Minshew next week. Minshew signed a 2-year, $25 million contract last year with $15 million guaranteed. He beat out Aiden O'Connell for the starting job going into last season, but struggled to hold on to the position. LeBron James has become the first player in NBA history to score 50,000 combined points in the regular season and postseason. He needed just 1 point during the Lakers game against the New Orleans Pelicans last night. The 40-year-old James is already the top scorer in NBA history in both the regular season and the playoffs during a career in which he has rewritten all previous definitions of basketball longevity. Sports Updates brought to you by Heavy Gym. It isn't just about lifting weights at Heavy Gym. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. There you go. Go over there and tell Tony that the RP show sent you. See what little treats he has for you. Okay, big thank you to Cody John for making it work from the UK. Big thank you to Brennan and the Saskatchewan Rattlers and the crew there for lining that all up. I can't wait to be watching Rattlers basketball at SaskTel Center this summer, not to mention all across the country if it works out. Okay, nice work, crew. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to do it all again tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
What do you think it is, a strip club?